Ways to not get more power in the Jeep Gladiator. There's a lot of myths out there. Well, good afternoon everybody, and welcome back to Automotive JT. Real quick, if you haven't before, make sure you smash that subscribe button and click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. So today I wanted to talk about a few ways to not, that's right, I said not, get more power out of the Jeep Gladiator. You know, I've had a couple of questions recently on the channel. What can I do to get more power in the Jeep Gladiator? And I'll tell you at the end, there's only really a couple of ways, and maybe three, that you can get more power out of the Jeep Gladiator. We're stepping inside because it's very windy out there. So let's talk about it. First of all, add a cold air intake. That's the first way that you can not get more power out of the Jeep Gladiator. Now, there are big myths out there that you can, and I think the reason is because a lot of the manufacturers do real tight testing when they put a cold air intake out. In other words, they put the cold air intake on the Jeep Gladiator and then they'll run it on a dyno. A dyno is a real precise machine that's going to measure to the nth degree different specs about changes that have been made to the Jeep Gladiator. Now, that's all good and well, and if you're constantly driving your Jeep Gladiator on a dyno machine, then I suppose you can look at the numbers and you can see that indeed you've increased the horsepower. But who does that? Nobody does that. What I'm talking about is power that you can feel. You know, when you hit what used to be the gas pedal, the accelerator, and you can feel the power, a real change. You're not going to get that with a cold air intake. There's two things that you do get. One, an aesthetic and improvement. It looks better under the hood. And two, some sound. I certainly have that with my Air Raid cold air intake, and I highly recommend it for sound purposes, but you're not going to get any more power out of it, at least nothing that you can feel. Number two, an exhaust, a new exhaust. Now, in the old days, when you put, let's say, a dual exhaust with a dual outtake from the engine, you could get more power because you see back then, it didn't have all those computer systems setting it up the way that the factory has made it be. So even if you go ahead and you increase the exhaust that's leaving the engine, the computer's going to compensate for that. It's not going to give you any more power. Now, again, throw it on a dyno, and this is how they get away with stating these things. Throw it on a dyno and it'll probably measure that you're getting more horsepower, like 5 or 10. But you're not gonna feel that. It's gonna be irrelevant for you as the driver. What does an exhaust do? Well, if you put dual exhaust tips on, which I'm very fond of, I love the look of a dual exhaust on the back of any truck, you're gonna have an aesthetic improvement. You're also gonna get a sound difference. Now, that's not always a good thing. If you like a louder exhaust, well, then you might get what you want. But if you don't, and if it bothers you, you're probably not gonna like it. You know, my buddy Randall, recently I put a new exhaust on my Tacoma for the sole purpose of getting more sound. Randall and I went out, he helped me do it. We took a test drive and he didn't like it because he doesn't like loud exhaust. He doesn't want all that noise. So just beware, if you do something like that, there's a chance you may not like it if you're sensitive to sound. Number three, add bigger, heavier tires. Now, this is funny. Somebody asked me recently, and I don't mean funny, haha, I mean funny, odd. Somebody asked me recently about how they could get more power out of their Jeep Gladiator with 37-inch tires. And my first thought, and I wasn't trying to be mean, is take them off. Sell them, get rid of them. Go back to stock, or at least something a little bit closer to stock. Because those big, heavy tires, heavy is the key here, are grabbing all of your power. I mean, you've put something on the Jeep that the Jeep's got to pull around now. Of course it's going to feel less powerful. Now, You could take them off, like I said, go back to something closer to stock or even stock itself. The other thing that was mentioned was the lift. And this, I think, is a big misconception. If you lift your Jeep Gladiator, it's going to be less powerful. Well, no, that's not true. Unless the lift that you put on weighs like 1,000 pounds or something, which, by the way, a lift is going to sock a little bit of the power because it does add more weight, but it's not enough that you're really going to notice. Really, the thing that takes away from the power of any Jeep Gladiator are those bigger, heavier tires that you put on. That's a way to definitely not get more power. Matter of fact, it's going to go the other way. It's going to make the Jeep Gladiator feel more sluggish, more laboring, because it has to pull those things around. So, how can you get more power in the Jeep Gladiator? Well, the way I see it, there's only a couple of ways. One, you can drop a bigger engine in it. Throw a V8 in that puppy. That'll give you more power. But who's going to do that? I mean, I know there are a few people that probably have, but they're probably corporations that are doing it for publicity. I don't think the common Joe, like me, is going to go slap a bigger engine, you know, like a great big 5.7 Hemi or something, in their Jeep Gladiator. But that would do it. That would give you more power. The second way is to supercharge it. Not a very financially sound way to do it, in my opinion. They're expensive. You're going to pay anywhere between $8,000 and probably $10,000 once you're done with the supercharger itself, the labor, tweaking it, tuning it, getting it the way that you want it, and then you hope that when you're done, that $8,000 to $10,000 was worth it. I mean, honestly, you could probably hope for about another 100 to 150 horsepower, which is significant. But for 8 to 10 grand, I don't know. I think I'd probably just put the stock tires back on, or again, something closer to the same size. The third way is simple. It's just reduce weight. You know, take stuff out of the back, get the junk out of the truck that you're not using. Maybe you need to go on a diet. Well, I know I do. That would increase the power a little bit. Not really increase the power, but enable you to feel the power that's already there, because it's not going to have to haul around your hefty self or all the stuff that you've got in the truck with it gone. That's about it. There really aren't a lot of ways that you can add power to the Jeep Gladiator. These are just a few ways to not get more power out of the Jeep Gladiator. Hopefully that answers the questions. I know there's a lot of myths out there, a lot of claims. And again, those claims, while aren't lies, they're really referring to dyno tests that are very, very minimal increases that you're never going to feel. Leave a comment. Let me know. Have you experienced these things? Is there some miracle part you can add other than a supercharger that's going to give the Jeep Gladiator more power? I'd be curious to know. Again, in the beginning, if you didn't, do me a favor. Smash that subscribe button and click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. I do have 2 additional channels. Rob Motive, all about Toyota Tacomas, and Rob Motive FST, all about full-size trucks. Check them out, and if you're interested, why not subscribe? Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.